Welcome back, traders, to the weekend episode of Trade Cave. Today we are going to talk about Bitcoin. We're going to do an update on the Disney and PayPal charts that I talked about last week, and we're going to look a little bit into some of the miners, specifically Cypher. Let's get into it. So this is Bitcoin that we're looking at right now. You can see right now I've got the Gaussian channel on here. You can see that's that green channel I've got here. We came right up to the bottom of the Gaussian channel, stopped at it, and now we're up at the middle here. And then if we look in the past, this is the daily chart, by the way. If we look into the past, let me bring up the volume a little bit so it actually shows something. You can see that it likes to hang out at this top or middle or bottom for a few days before making a big move. Yeah, in the past at least, that's what it's been doing. You can see here it hung out for about 5 days before jumping immediately down to the middle, or hung out for 3 days where it went straight to the bottom and stopped for 3 days, and then we went straight up to the middle and we stopped for 3 more days. Now, this is a precarious position to be in. We could go either direction. Now, since it's already going up and it went like down to the top, then down to the middle, then down to the bottom, what we may want to say is that it's going to go up to the top now, which is going to be about 44,500-ish. But it might not. It might not do that. It might come up just a little bit more before coming down back to the bottom when the bottom is reaching this downward channel here around, I don't know, let's say 40,000-ish. So we're still sort of in limbo. You can tell by this doji candle here that happened on Sunday. Oh, we're on the Monday candle now. Okay. This is Sunday's candle. We got a doji. So we are in somewhat of a downward bias, but we're moving up in that downward bias right now based on this Gaussian channel. Now, if we look here, I did change my indicator now. It does have the 200-day on it now. So I've got the 5-day, the 15, the 50 in orange there, and then the 200 in red now. So technically right now I do have a green arrow momentum showing that the 5 crossed up above the 15, but we do have the 50 looming above where it may crash into it and come down from, like it did exactly right here on Sunday here on that candle. We are out of the squeeze now, as you can see from the plus signs, we're out of the squeeze. So basically this momentum, it's got to get above this orange line here before I feel like it's going to go any higher. Even with this green arrow here that generally indicates like a nice big move, like you see back here, we got a green arrow and it went up from, that green arrow started on this candle that was at 41,000 and we went up to 48,000, almost 49,000 before we started coming down again. So, but of course you see a green arrow here where it just bled down. So it's hard to know what exactly it's going to do. I take that as a bullish signal more so than a bearish one, but it could easily drop down. So Bitcoin's sort of in a no man's land right now. It's in the Gaussian channel, which it hasn't been in since October at the October lows. And that's pretty exciting, especially seeing how it moves in the Gaussian channel. It went to the top, rode it up, went to the middle, rode that a bit, and then to the bottom, stayed at the bottom. Now we're back at the middle. And we could really honestly go either direction here. If we don't manage to get above the 50, I do feel the 200 calling us a little bit lower, down in the low 30s at some point here in the near future. And of course, that is if we are unable to conquer the 50 simple moving average, which is here in orange just above us right now at 42,800. So that's what's going on with Bitcoin. And of course, what Bitcoin does, the miners follow. Oh, one more thing I'd like to touch on. We saw the power of the Bitcoin ETFs this week here on Friday. Actually, we saw $2 billion of inflow into the Bitcoin ETFs, and we jumped from 39,817 all the way up to 42,200. So that's almost a $4,000 jump just from a $2 billion inflow in the Bitcoin ETF. So that is kind of a sneak peek as to the power of the ETFs and how much we could pump based on monies flowing into those ETFs. So, I mean, honestly, any bearish feelings I have about Bitcoin can be immediately undone by money flowing into the ETFs. And that's just the reality that we're going to be in right now. And of course, that plays to the other side as well. If we see outflows from the ETFs, we could see severe Bitcoin crashes from that. We might actually see greater volatility due to this, which is kind of exciting but a little scary at the same time. So keep that in mind. I am currently starting to dollar cost average into my favorite positions. Of course, this is not financial advice nor a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. It's just what I'm doing with my portfolio, but I have begun to dollar cost average because I don't know where the bottom is. I don't know if it is in already or if it is coming in the future. But what I do know is that I want my bags full of my favorite Bitcoin miners when that day comes to ride them up. So let's move on to Disney. Disney. I did a video about Disney on January 22nd. Yep, January 22nd. You can see it was what, like this was at 11, so we're at like 7 a.m. over here. Let's see what that looked like. That was down on the 30-minute. That was January 22nd. No, 22nd right there. All right, here it is. I found it. It's right here. I'll draw a box around it. Right there. Cool. Right in these two candles. This is where I started making the video, was when this candle was forming. Right here. I bought in there actually at this yellow line here at $93.40. You can see that price went way, way up where I was wonderfully in profit, and that was fantastic. And then price came back down to my line, went way back up, came back down to my line, went way up, came down slightly less, and then went up again. You can see that was actually a wedge now that I think about it. Let me turn off my indicator here. You can see that this was actually a wedge. It was coming down here with lower highs, but we were also getting slightly higher lows at the same time. We had a bit of a wedge forming right in there. Now, that wasn't perfect, obviously. What if I drag this up a little bit? There we go. Wedge. And we broke to the upside, actually, which is actually really bullish and great for the calls that I actually bought on that. Again, not as financial advice, not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever, but I did buy some calls on Disney when I made that video, and I am actually up, I think, like 20% or something on those positions right now, and that's pretty nice. I'm hoping to get somewhere around 30 to 40%, and then I'll probably back out of it before, if you're making money, there's no sense in not taking profit. It's, nobody ever went broke taking profit. So I live by those words, and that is something that I, hold dear. Currently, we were in a Bollinger Band Keltner channel squeeze. As you can see from up here, we broke out of that just on Friday, and we are going flat. This is hopefully a bull flag. Let's zoom out a little bit, see if that's what it looks like on the daily. A little far, I guess. Let's go with the 2 hour. On the 2 hour, yeah, that is a bull flag looking, and we came back down to the 5, bounced off of the 5. This is bullish. We could go up to like 96 almost before we hit resistance on the Bollinger Band Keltner channel squeeze that's happening right here. But when we get a squeeze like that, we do tend to make a pretty sizable move. Like just like back here, we saw we had the squeeze, then we came out of the squeeze, and we just went up from there. Also, we can see that on Friday. Was this on Friday or Thursday? On Thursday, in the afternoon on Thursday, we got a green arrow on the 2 hour showing that big upward move, and I am expecting this to end up being a bull flag moving us higher on a higher time frame. Let's see, what were we at on the daily? On the daily, we actually got our green arrow back here on the 18th. That's pretty interesting. But Disney has been kind of climbing up in this channel here. Let me turn this off for a second, my indicator. All right, yeah, let me get rid of that box I just drew for this video. Yeah, so we've been honestly, since the 11th, we've been on an upward channel move, and we got back into this larger upward channel that I have here. We actually touched the bottom of it in bounce, which is very bullish. And I am expecting to see resistance around this 96.50 range here, which is the middle of my upward channel, possibly coming back to the bottom of my upward channel here again before moving to the top of it at some point, or maybe just pausing, forming a bull flag, and then continuing on. We'll see what that is, but I am still pretty bullish on this. I do still see upward movements on this stock for now. However, if it does fall out of this smaller upper channel that I have, I'm probably going to cut it. But you can see I have my green arrow here on the 3-day chart, and that's pretty exciting, actually. I'm pretty happy about that. Let me get rid of my Bollinger Bands and Keltner channels. Those are sort of distracting me at the moment. Get rid of them. All right. Yeah, so we can see the 5-day here just crossed over the 20, which is over the 50, which is it over the 200? No, we got the 200 up above here at 110. Wouldn't that be something if we ran up to that 200 on the 3-day channel, on the 3-day? So that's basically what, 500 day? No, 600 day. No, yeah, it's a 600 day. 600 day. It's a 2-year, basically 2-year moving average right here. Sorry, my math is bad sometimes. But that would be up at 110. Wouldn't that be something? When was the last time we touched that thing? Last time we touched that was in February of 2022. February. So last time we interacted with that. But we do need to get above this downward line right here. Actually, that's going to provide some resistance, which would be at its current rate. We might touch it on mid-February, and that's going to be like 101. Honestly, just getting up to this line, this 96.50, that's going to be a huge win, in my opinion, on Disney. All right, let's move on to PayPal. PayPal did very badly this week. So I was talking about PayPal here on the 23rd at this doji candle, and then it got followed by this big red candle. I got in on this red candle, not at the bottom of it, but like halfway down the bottom of it, somewhere like here-ish, like market open that day on the on Wednesday the 24th. And then the very next day, we had news that should have been good. This news should have been good. I'll show it to you right now. Not that one. Not that one. This one. PayPal and Venmo unveil 6 new innovations to revolutionize commerce. They're going to monetize their platform, which is something they have not done before. So they're going to introduce ads, AI-powered ads, artificial intelligence-powered ads onto their platform, which is very bullish. They are looking to streamline their cart services, which is also bullish. What else were they going to do? I can't remember all 6 of them, but they're going to do a lot of things to make their platform easier to use, as well as including ads onto their platforms, targeted ads using AI to do it. So I was very excited about that, but Wall Street was not. And Wall Street was not because PayPal has a history of poor execution of these types of announcements. So Wall Street wants to see them execute before they're convinced of these announcements. Aside from that, that should have been super bullish. Also, this is what we like to call a black swan event. There's no way that I could have guessed PayPal would drop 4% in a single day based on the chart. This was fully news-based catalyst that, I mean, only insiders could have known about, and it would have been illegal for them to trade it anyways. And even they probably thought this was going to be good news, and it just wasn't. I mean, we went from $64 to a bottom of $58, $58.90 in a single day on a $60 stock. That is a huge move, an absolutely massive move. Something that gives me hope, though, is that before that move came in, we were above the 200-day moving average, which is this red one right here. And we came down to the 50 and bounced off the 50, and we're trying to get above 20 right now. We're actually slightly above the 20 right now. And this came after a green arrow on my 5-day crossing over the 50. And we might find resistance at 62-ish on the 200-day moving average. That could happen, and which could swat us back down to the 50. Possibly we are in a squeeze and with upward momentum though. So that could take us to the top of this bigger channel I have right here. I'm going to highlight it, this one. We could end up getting to the top of this upward channel again. This is a much longer term one that I'm looking at here. This is just a much bigger upward channel. Honestly, it starts like down here somewhere, but I didn't bother going all the way down there. Now we are in a bit of a downward channel for a while, but we also have this inverse head and shoulders right here. I'll draw it right here that we are working with. And if we can get above this area here, will probably come up here into like 70s, into that 70s range. And I'm still convinced that could happen. I do think that was a knee-jerk reaction by the market, selling off so badly, so fast on PayPal that I am not convinced that that move will hold. Because it was good news. Overall, it was good news. Earnings is coming up. They are a buy now, pay later platform that did exceptionally well in quarter 4. So we should see some really good earnings on February 6th or 7th, excuse me, but I will probably want to get out of the trade before February 7th. I don't like trading over earnings. I do feel like that is a gamble, so I'll probably get out a few days before that. Um, Whether I'm up or down. If I'm up or down, I'll let you know on the channel if I'm up or down on this one. This one kind of came in and bombed immediately after looking at it. But again, this was something that could not have been predicted. It's news driven and it was a knee-jerk reaction, as you can see by the immediately the day after its candle gave, earned back half of what we lost, indicating that that was a knee-jerk reaction by the market, that it was a bit of an unfair move on PayPal, based on how just bullish the news was and how that will implicate good things in the future for PayPal. So the last thing we're going to look at here is Cypher. We're going to look at some miners. Cypher. So Cypher came down. It's in this very aggressive downward channel, and it has entered back into another less aggressive but longer downward channel. And it came to the middle of that channel, kind of went up a bit. We might see it come to the top here around 330, but we might kind of see it just bounce around between that 330 and 246 right now. This candle right here on January 24th, that was the Bitfury news, that Bitfury, which owns 75% of the company, was going to sell almost all of the shares. Came in on that day. And that was a bit brutal to this stock in particular. But we never went below its lowest low, not for very long, not really. We just kind of wicked down there. And then we showed strength, and this was from the Bitcoin ETFs getting inflows of cash there. If we are able to break above this downward channel and stay above it, come back, maybe retest it, we'll see the top of this one, which is why I drew this box, which is that 333 range to 245. We might test back to the top before coming back down, but I do feel like we're under the 200 day. The 15 just crossed below the 50, which is why I have this red dot. Um, if that 15 goes under the 200, we're going to have a bad time on Cypher. And I was kind of thinking Cypher was done with his downward moves because this is pretty solid support down here at this 230 range. And it honestly dipped below that. And if it goes back below it again, uh, we might see it come back down and test it down underneath $2 again, which is possible on that. Let's take a look at Mara as well. Mara, I think I don't have anything new to say about Mara. It looks like a cup. I love that cup to form. In fact, if we look at, is it Bitcoin that was showing a cup and handle? Yeah, I think it was. Let's go to the 3-day on there. Yeah, turn off this. Turn off my Gaussian channel. Turn off all my indicators. I want to look at this chart without it. Yeah. So, in fact, I'm going to go even bigger to a 1 week. There we are. So we got a cup here, right here. I'll draw it. Cup, cup, and then we can have a handle all the way down to this area here at the 36,000, 35, 36,000 range. If we get that handle off of this cup that started back on April at 48,000, went all the way down to 15,000, came all the way back up to 48,000 before coming back down where it currently is. If this cup gets its handle and that handle stays above 35,000, it is going to be a confirmed handle once it breaks out of this downward channel here to the upside. And it could do it at any time. It doesn't need to go to 35,000. It just needs to create a handle somewhere in this downward channel and then break out above it. We could see highs all the way back up to the $60,000 mark, like the $68,000 mark, if this is a handle on this cup. And I'll show you the power of that right now at the end here. This is going to be the end of the video. But the power of the cup and handle. Does this look familiar? It's not exactly the same because they're never exactly the same. They rarely look like the text. But on the SPY, we had a cup that started on March 28th. Came all the way down here to 348. Went all the way back up here in July 31st to 458. From there, we created this handle here all the way down to 408. And from that handle, we rocketed all the way up past the cup, past the previous all-time highs. And we're currently hovering up here in the 87, 88 range on target to try to hit 500 in Q1 of 2024. That is the power of the cup and handle. When you see a cup and handle, watch it for one. Like don't front run it. Like, here, if you're like, oh, it's going to be a cup and handle and it's going to go up to the top here before making the handle, like you would have had a really bad time. But wait for it. You see the same downward channel, and then we confirmed above that channel. I would have gone in here, and actually I did on a couple of different ones of these blue candles here. I actually got in on a few of them, made some good money. But on this second one here, that was an entry, 440, all the way up to 460. And then there was another entry here at 470 all the way up to 487. Like, so many good ones. If Bitcoin is creating a cup and handle, so we're keeping an eye on it. I'm not convinced it's happening yet, but I do see that it could set up like that. It could set up a cup and handle where we might see some upward and then rejection in this channel down to around 35, 36,000 ish, that region, and then start coming up, breaking out of this channel, maybe retesting it, and then just launching off of it up to that 68 and beyond from there. And I mean, honestly, the handle plays perfectly into the halving. This right here is about where the halving should be, somewhere in mid-April 2024. We could easily see a handle come down into the mid 30s or to low 30s into April, and from April start building up, come out of this channel, and then just take off. That is totally within the realm of possibility here. So I'm hoping for a downward move in Bitcoin, so I can see a downward move in the miners, and I can fill my bags with the miners and then ride them up to Valhalla at the end of the year, into next year. That's what I am hoping happens. And if that doesn't happen, I'll just dollar cost average in as we go and do the best that I can with that strategy from there if we don't get those lows. Again, this is not financial advice nor a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. It's just my analysis of the charts. And with that, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a profitable day.